Hello and welcome to Aspiebloggen podcast, episode 5. I am your host, Tom Eriksson. In today's episode, I finally talk about Asperger's syndrome and autism. This is a podcast where I bring you my views on things in an attempt to let my voice be heard and to grow my confidence. For too long, I have not voiced my opinions on the things that matter to me, but that will all change now. Some of what I will bring up will be about Asperger and autism related stuff, since that is what my blog is about. But most will be my opinions on things and what is going on in my life. My website is at aspiebloggen.se. There you will find the show notes for each episode as well as my other blog posts. The blog itself is in Swedish, but this podcast and the corresponding show notes will always be in English. Now let's get started. Today's episode is brought to you by the letter Ö. On my Asperger's page, I have a quote from me saying that Asperger's is like a computer that someone has ripped out all the cables from and then put them back in. It works, just not the same. That, is not the best thing I have ever written, but at the moment I think I will leave it in there. Unlike some people, like Mike Cernovich, I don't believe in changing my previous blog post to reflect new opinions unless I wrote something that was way out of line. No, I would rather just make a new post, or nowadays a podcast about how my opinions have changed. That is why I don't necessarily agree with everything on this site, and some things, like the page about love shyness, makes me embarrassed. But I would like this blog to show how I have changed through the years, and I can't do that if I delete old content or change it to reflect my current views. I think I said in the very first episode that a part of this podcast will be about older blog posts and what I feel about them today. Maybe I really don't like it anymore, or more likely, I still do. Still, the blog celebrated its 8th birthday this year, so there is plenty of material. Due to laziness, I tend to write the script about an hour or so before recording. Yet if I were to actually talk about what I have written before, I will obviously have to read what I have written before. And that will take a long time, and remind me of a lot of things that I would rather forget, so it might take a while before I find the courage to do so. So, what is Asperger? Some call it a disorder, but I'm not so fond of that description. Others call it a disability or handicap, but Aspies, like myself, argue that from our perspective, others are the handicapped ones. I mean, sure, our social interaction skills are different, but can they truly be called a disability? That's just the point of reference. Granted, while how I choose to socialize or not fits better with the term introverted, something that not all Aspies are. Yes, unlike the pop culture version, you can have Asperger's and still be extroverted. Still, I do have some actual disabilities, and they are all tied to my senses. All my senses are on high alert all the time. My vision is sensitive to light, so while outdoors on sunny days I will wear sunglasses. My nose is sensitive enough that I really don't like being near smokers or people using lots of perfume. Interestingly, those people tend to overlap. I remember back in school when the girls who smoked used to try to conceal the smell of smoke by using lots of perfume and deodorants. Everyone with a working smell, i.e. non-smokers, immediately recognized the futility of that endeavor. Oh well. And don't even get me started on how public restrooms can smell. My sense of touch is really sensitive as well, slight pun intended. I hate having syringes stick a hole in me, and are glad that is a rare occurrence. One thing I haven't talked about is that I have a swollen leg that has been bothering me for over a year now. I wear compression socks as a way to deal with it, not that I have helped. Well, my point for bringing this up is that I was finally on a checkup by a doctor that seemed to know what he was doing, and while there will be another visit to another doctor for final diagnosis, he told me that one part of the examination will be about putting a blood pressure cuff over the leg. I just know how much that tend to hurt my arm, and my arms are nowhere near as sensitive as my leg. I hope that doesn't really happen. And finally, hearing. This is my biggest handicap. I can control how I see the sun. I can make sure to avoid public restrooms and not get injections, have my blood tested or check my blood pressure. But I'm always bothered by sounds I don't want to hear. Two things I really hate are dogs and kids. Dogs are always barking as long as one of their kind is within the kilometers range and happen to be barking for some reason. And most kids can't shut up, but have to shout out everything they say. As far as pets go, I prefer cats. They're cute, and unless they get into a fight, also quiet. And in the mention cute. The cat owners in the world can relax though. I don't have any plans for joining you. Anyone who knows how I manage my flowers knows why. I'm content to just look at cats. Back to noise. I really hate living in an apartment and will move if I could. Unfortunately, that is not possible, so here I am. I could settle for living in a rented apartment again, and not the house as long as it is not next to something else, but I guess that still makes it a house. Either way, my economy doesn't allow moving, so I'm stuck. What troubles me is my inability to block sounds I don't want to hear. From my previous description, it might sound that I wear earplugs all day. This is only true on New Year's Eve, since I hate the sounds of fireworks. Now I have real trouble with sudden, unexpected sounds, so yay for fireworks and scare coach in movies. But other than that, I can't block out sounds, however faint, that I don't want to hear. If a dog barks near me, it scares me. If he continues, or if the dog is far away, it annoys me. Same with kids. My ideal living will be somewhere far more remote than I live now, or at least in a house, so there are some distance to the neighbors. When I listen to music, I do so loudly, if only to drown out other sounds, so if I like a sound, I don't have a problem with its volume. Only the sounds I don't like bother me. And I think I will end it there. I realized that I didn't talk much about Asperger, but I really didn't know what else to bring up. I didn't want to talk about the criteria, since it has been a while since I read them, and I don't know what more I can say about them. The show notes for this episode can be found at aspiebloggen.se/5. So that will be all for now, and until next week, take care.